This tutorial is part 2 of how to add and use a wiki within your Moodle course. So if you haven't viewed the first video on wikis, or if you haven't referred to the beginning section of the print tutorial on wikis, I would ask you to do that, because in those two areas how to set the wiki up is discussed, and in this area we're actually going to get into the wiki and look at how content is added and ways for instructors to track content and how to use the wiki itself. So I've already created a wiki, it's already been established. So I'm going to scroll down to the wiki within the course, and it's a little ways down here, and I've appropriately named it Test Wiki. So we're going to click on the title. Now that's going to drop you directly into it. Now everyone, when I say everyone including students, kind of drops into this first view, and really what this first view is, as you can tell here, it's the edit view. Okay, but there's quite a bit going on in here, so I want to explain to you what all the different functionality is. First of all, this space right here, that is the summary space. So if you remember back when you set your wiki up and there was the required summary box, this is where that information appears, and so it's going to be one of the first things students see within this page. So I think it's important to note that. A second area that I want to draw your attention to is the tabs right here. Okay, now we're in edit mode, okay, and after you add content you'll be able to click on view mode, so I'll show you that. So let's go ahead and do that. So okay, so here's some information. So I'm going to do, I'm going to hit save. So I'd scroll down. So this is me, I've added content to this page within the wiki. Now this goes back to the first video in the beginning section of the print tutorial. The settings within the wiki will determine how pages are used. So for instance, if I have a setting where we all being the instructor and the students are all on one page within the wiki, everyone contributes to just a single page within the wiki, you're probably going to want to think of some kind of convention to distinguish who's posting what, because as you'll see, I'm going to hit save and this is all you'll get. Now there's a way to track the history, but it may be easier for an instructor to stipulate in the directions that, before you post, put your name in the colon so I know it's you, and then put your comment. Now that's only if you're sharing one page that everyone's working on. Okay, I actually have this wiki set up so that every student gets their own page and you're able to see and go to them, and I'll show you that. But that's something to think about. So I added content, I hit save. Now you're getting the view, okay? So in the tabs here, okay, we're now on view, and so this is what it looks like when you click on view. You actually get what the page will look like to users, okay, when it's not being edited, all right? And to go back to that screen we were just on, you would click on the edit tab, and that would take you back in here, okay? Now notice when you're in edit view, you have your full WYSIWYG. You can play with colors and fonts, you can add pictures, create hyperlinks out to the web. If you scroll down underneath this box, you have the option to preview or cancel what you're doing. Cancel will take you out so that the information isn't added. Preview will let you do just that, go to a view of how it looks so you can see how it looks as far as a format and come back if you need to. A couple of other tabs to look at, if we scroll back up here, is the link tab. Now by clicking on links, okay, which I'll show you, I do not have links set up, but what happens is that if you create a link to the page that you're on, okay, so for instance I'm on the page is just called Test Wiki because I allowed the pages to take the name of the wiki, and that's in the settings, okay, that's covered in like the first video, but if I had links directed to this page from other pages, so for instance, say I had my page, Clint's page, and say Brian has his page, but Brian links to my page. He creates an auto link, which can be done through the camel casing feature, which again is in the settings, which again goes back to that initial part of the tutorial, print tutorial of video. Then it would show up here, and you would see all the various pages that link back to the current page you're working on. Okay, so there is a way to create an intricate web and links between content on pages. The instructor can go in and do that on the back side, or you can allow students to do it. Okay, it all goes to how you set up the settings. The next tab is history. Now this one is important. Okay, what I've done is I've gone in and actually added some content. Okay, you can see here what the idea of a wiki. The idea of a wiki is to be open and collaborative, but it also, because it is that collaboration and people can work on the same page together, meaning that you could type something on a page, and depending on the way the wiki is set up, I could go in and erase what you've done and add my own content, or just contribute to it. So the wikis have built in the option to be able to track the history, so you track the edits and changes to know who's done what when. Okay, and so this history tab can allow you to do that. So you're going to get your version. Okay, and so this right now this page has one version. Let's say I were to let's say Chad logs in, goes to the page, makes edits, saves. Well, then the page is going to have 2 versions, and then 3 versions, 4 versions, so on and so on. So by clicking on that number 1, it would take me back to that version. It would take me back to what it looked like. So if I have 5 versions and I clicked on number 3, it would take me back to what the wiki looked like at the 3rd version. Okay, so you could go back in time essentially. By clicking on browse, you can view every version of the page. Okay, so if we click on browse, you'll see here it's just the one, but it gives you the idea of all the versions are then going to lay out and you're able to see them all. Notice I clicked back on history to get back to the screen. Fetch back, this brings back an old version of the page for editing. Okay, so once you save your changes, it becomes the newest version. Fetchback lets you go back to an old version of the page, make the changes and save it if you want to. And then the diff here, this highlights the difference between consecutive versions of a page. Okay, so any additions will have a plus symbol next to them, and anything that has been deleted or taken away will have the subtraction, the minus symbol next to it. Okay, so it's kind of nice. So you can see here, I haven't subtracted anything, I've only added. So there's the little plus symbol versus the minus symbol. Okay, and you'll see differences between versions 1 and 0 of TestWiki. Okay, so there aren't. Okay, there aren't any differences. So if we click back on the history tab, you then get the author. So you can see me, my profile. You can click on that to go to the participant and see their profile. You can see when this was created. Okay, so that's when the actual page was created versus when a last modification happened, because there's no reason to go to fetch back or difference if there hasn't been a modification since the page was created. Okay, and if the page is referenced at all anywhere else through the auto linking process, it shows up here. Okay, which don't really need to worry about that too much. But that's the history tab, which I think is wonderfully effective or helpful. Okay. Alright, so let's go back to the edit view. Okay, so notice again, I clicked on edit in the middle of the screen. Okay. Now in this edit view, you'll notice if I scroll down a little bit, that here's your text box that you write your comment in, that pointed out here's your full control panel. But if I come down below the text box, if I come down now in the settings, okay, this goes back to the first tutorial in the beginning of the print tutorial for wikis. In the settings, if you allow for binary files, which means students can attach papers and images, you have this browse and upload feature here. And you'll also see that because you've allowed for binary attachments in the setting, that if I scroll back up, you get attachment tab. Okay, and by clicking on that, you come into a screen where there's no attachment so far to this wiki, but you can use this form to upload. Right, so you can browse, file, upload. You can add a comment. If there are multiple pages within the wiki, you can determine what page to put it to. So we're just test wiki, and then if you want to save the file with a different name so that it appears as that and people can click on it or see the file underneath it, you can. Okay, and notice how if I scroll back up, this attachment tab is now there. That's because I wanted to show this, so I went in and allowed for binary files to be uploaded. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on edit, and we'll go back to that the edit screen. Kind of always going to bring you back to a start point. A couple other features I want to show you are, let's see if I bring your screen over. Notice up here in the upper right hand corner it says Other Wikis, Choose. Now, this is a list of all the students that are in this course, which are various instructors that have enrolled in this course as student. That's why the list is that long. It wouldn't be that long for you. It would just be however many people or students are on your roster or within your grades in Moodle. Now, the key to understand is the reason why this appears has to do with the settings. So again, if you haven't watched the first video, I would encourage you to do that. Or look at the print tutorial. But the settings I have for this particular wiki, it's set up for the type, it's a student, and then for the group mode, it is visible groups. And see, what will happen is once a student contributes to the wiki, they will then appear, okay, in the drop-down menu for other students, because the settings I have for this allow other students to view each other's pages, okay, so they can see what others are writing. All right, so the instructor, you're always going to get a full view of all the students, but the students, what will happen is, say Bob comes in and he types information, then Phil comes in. Well, Phil types information. Then what will happen is, once Phil has saved his work, he'll be able to come up here to other wikis, drop that down, and see Bob's name. But let's say Sally, he doesn't see Sally's name. Well, the reason, I know, these names are very witty, I know. The reason he doesn't see Sally's name is because Sally hasn't posted to the wiki yet. Once she posts, he'll be able to see her work. Okay, so that's kind of how that feature works. But again, it'll all go back to how you set the wiki up as far as what type of wiki you create and the group mode that you set for the wiki. Okay, one other feature, and in the third video, I'm going to discuss a little bit more about the administration, but I want to show you how to create pages. Okay, this is I think this is very neat and fun. So I'm in this edit page here. Okay, I've clicked now in the box. You see my cursor's blinking. Okay, this is the first page. So I want to create another page that is linked to this page or links off of this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, using my keyboard, I'm going to put hard brackets. I'm going to call the page example, and then I'm going to close it. All right, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to hit save. Now, by hitting save, it now takes me to view mode, which this is what the wiki will look like when the person first drops into it. Okay, now notice behind example there's a little question mark. Well, once I click on that question mark, you'll see it links me to that page. Okay, because if you look at here, edit this page, and the page name is example. Okay, so I can add content to this page just like I do with the other pages within the wiki. And then if I scroll down and I click save, I've now added content to example. But look here, referring links, test wiki. Okay, so by clicking on test wiki, I would go back to our initial first page. Now here's the view of our very first page, and you see where example now is in highlighted blue. So if I click on example, it then takes me to that page. Okay, so I can move back and forth between the pages that way, and anyone can create those pages in that manner. Okay, the other thing is too, this is how links work. So if you come back up to your tabs up here and you click on links, notice now that to the example page, because that's the page we were on, was the example page. Okay, that what links to this page? Well, the test wiki does. Okay, which is the name of the wiki, which is the name of the first page within the wiki. So you really have to look at it as pages. But you could go through and create an intricate system there from that very first page where you link to various pages that could cover various topics. And if you allow students to contribute content, then you could create topic-driven wikis to relate to those content areas. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more in the third video, but I wanted to make sure I pointed that out in this one.